Welcome to the Hedera HashCast, episode 5. I'm your host, Warlock and Key, and in this episode, we'll be talking with some of the team members from SaucerSwap. I'm joined today by Deepak.
Hello.
Hank, also known as Peachy. And Joseph, also known as Hashburglar.
Hey guys.
So for our little warm-up today, I've been thinking about usernames a lot recently, and I'm curious how everyone decided on theirs. Was it some arbitrary decision, or is there a story behind it?
What? Does someone want to go first?
I guess the person talking, maybe.
Shoot. Okay. Well, I mean, back when I was kind of a kid, I used to frequent this MMO RPG called, Mabinogi. And, I used to go by the moniker Peach for some reason. It just kind of stuck since. I mean, I mostly use Discord to talk to my friends, like, from a decade ago from the same game, but, it's kind of transferred over, so I've kind of stuck with Peach.
I did get that vibe from your name. I was like, I think this is a long-term one. Hashburglar, probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm one of McDonald's best customers, I'd say. I think Hank can attest to that. Actually had it for dinner tonight, quarter pounder BLT. So the Hamburglar, or whatever he's called, basically just connected that with Hashgraph and Hashburglar. That's basically where it originated from. So
I mean, it's a little self-explanatory, right? But I mean, how long have we been using this username?
So for me, I think when I originally joined Club H Bar, I was going under my handle was Otis Bagshots, which is my cat's name. So I think like 2 months in. So I don't know how long that would be now. Been several months.
And you're like, it's probably time.
Yeah.
It's time.
I think, I'm sticking with this one for sure. So
I like it. Deepak, What about you?
So in high school, there was this rapper. He was an Indian guy, and he had a lyric in one song, and it goes, "Young cocoa butter, but they call me Deepak Chopra." And it's a play on words for Deepak Chopra. And I thought that was, I lost my mind when I heard that. And from there, I just took Deepak. Deepak is like the Indian name. And I just took the D, Deepak, just took the D and then slapped the pack on there.
Nice. Also fairly recent that you've been using that, right?
Who, me?
Yeah. As compared to Peaches anyway, who's got the lifelong username.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Like I definitely went by different stuff on like World of Warcraft and RuneScape. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, same with me. I think I started using Warlock and Key a year or two ago. Because I mean I really like Warlocks, and I just like one day was thinking, oh, this is like a good pun title, because I was thinking of maybe writing something with a Warlock in it. And then that never happened. So I was like, I got to use this for something. So yeah, a year or two, not,
Okay.
it's not lifelong. It's sadly, I just thought it was a good, I don't know, not marketing opportunity. It's not like I was using it for marketing, but I just thought it was a catchy name.
Warlock and Key.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I don't know about you guys, but I like it.
I like it too. I think there's a little bit of the play on words with the lock and key. I think it's pretty clever. But I was a little curious. I thought when you first joined Club H Bar, I thought you kind of were into the whole fantasy D&D stuff, the tabletop RPGs and all that. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I like Warlocks. I like stuff like that. But I didn't come up with the name until like way later.
Fair point.
And I think when I first joined Club H Bar, I was just Warlock because I thought the in key thing was kind of lame at that point, and then later I added it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one, but Everybody just calls me Warlock. Because like,
Deepak, I can respect the reference to Deepak Chopra. I think he single-handedly pumped HBAR more than like any council member announcement. So
it is definitely weird to see that Save a Love is NFT platform. I don't understand. I should probably watch the content behind it because I really don't understand how NFTs can help with mental health.
They certainly haven't helped with mine. So let's move on to some questions for SaucerSwap. Starting off with a very general one. What is SaucerSwap?
yeah, so I think I can take this one. So SaucerSwap is essentially like an automated market maker protocol. So it facilitates swaps of fungible tokens on the Hedera network, obviously. And it does so through the use of Hedera Smart Contract Service 2.0 and also the HTS or Hedera Token Service. So we ultimately want SaucerSwap to serve as an onboarding ramp for HTS projects and offer like a full suite of DeFi services. So just to name a few, liquidity pools, both containing both native and cross-chain assets, yield farms, which we're calling crop circles, just to stick with the alien theme we have going on.
Sure.
Single-sided staking, community pools, and then eventually gamified features such as prediction markets and lotteries. So in that regard, that aspect is going to be really similar to what you see on PancakeSwap. And then like regarding our governance, we strive to democratize DeFi. So we're structuring our governance model after a decentralized autonomous organization, more commonly referred to as a DAO. And our DAO treasury will, in essence, like retain value on the protocol, and then also fund development of community voted features. So that's what SaucerSwap is in short.
What is a liquidity pool? Because I don't really know what that means.
Yeah, so liquidity pool, I guess like, so our AMM is incentivized, meaning that liquidity providers, so anyone that puts two assets into a pool, receive a percentage of each swap fee that occurs in that pool. And that's rewarded in the form of what's called LP rewards, APR. So by providing liquidity, you're essentially earning passive income. And I guess I should also note that a liquidity provider supplies equal value parts of two different tokens. So for example, like Sauce and HBAR. And in exchange, they would receive LP tokens. So if you wanted to provide, say, like $5,000 of liquidity to the Sauce HBAR pool, you'd add $2,500 worth of Sauce and then $2,500 worth of HBAR. And then once deposited, you would receive newly minted LP tokens. And these LP tokens essentially represent a user's share of that pool. So you can think of them as a receipt of the liquidity that a user provides, and this makes the AMM non-custodial, and it also promotes decentralization and fairness. So,
cool.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's pretty hard to explain. Like, it's simple. If you really dig into it, then it does become pretty technical. So hopefully that didn't confuse anyone.
Well, let me ask you this, stepping away from some technical stuff, how did this team come together? How'd you guys form this group? I think it's so cool that a bunch of like familiar faces from Club HBAR and other places are coming together, and I'm just curious how that happened.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool how it's like a community-driven initiative. So Peter, aka Gliza, who's the other co-founder, he joined the project in its infancy, and then shortly afterwards he approached me and Hank. He's a pretty prominent member of the Club HBAR, Discord server. I guess he used to go by the handle Stanky Pate. Anyways, he's since changed it. But anyway, he asked us if we wanted to build a DEX on Hedera. So, I mean, like, I won't speak on Hank's behalf, but I personally jumped at the opportunity, just seeing the lack of DeFi on Hedera. And I think they were all tired of like the relentless crab. So I don't know. I did some market research. I saw the correlation between TVL and then like the price of a network's native token. And that was reason enough for me to commit to such a large undertaking. So my ultimate goal is just to help develop a DEX that is most beneficial to the ecosystem. And then I'm not sure if Hank, you want to?
Yeah, I would have to say that, when I heard about the project, I felt like it would be a very interesting challenge and opportunity to really grow my skill set because, I'm an engineer and I'm still a pretty young guy and I'm just trying to grow myself out as much as I can. And since, taking on this role as technical lead, I've had to put on so many different caps. Like, this is something that most full stack developers are expected to. Like, you're wearing multiple caps all the time. But in this particular project where you have like a small team in this very startup-esque environment, I've really had to stretch out and grow my skill set and get into a lot of areas I wasn't familiar with. And from that, I'm learning quite a lot. And I feel that, as I stick on, I'm just only going to grow and improve along with a team that I'm really proud to be working with. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then just like to add, I guess, so like once Hank and I were onboarded, we were still like a fairly small team at that point. So we looked to Club HBAR and Reddit just in search of more developers. So we were lucky enough to like recruit like a very competent full stack dev. He's probably like, I'd say several decades older than I am. We've got like an infosec expert, and we eventually onboarded a Solidity dev, which was quite the process. It's more difficult to find a Solidity dev in the Hedera ecosystem than you'd think. So we just put out like a general call on like various subreddits such as our Solidity. Yeah, like we had many applications come in, but we eventually landed on Little Tarzan. He's been a physicist. Like I think he's worked in that field for 10 years now, and he makes the rest of the team feel like we're on the wrong side of the bell curve. So yeah, I would say like at in our current state, like I'm confident with the proficiency of our team, and we've got like a great dynamic and just a healthy balance of work and banter. So.
And don't forget the social managers. They're all putting quite a lot of elbow grease. Shout out to them as well.
Yeah. I think we have 6 social managers.
Oh, so how big is the current team? Everybody? I
believe it's 12 in total.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 6 core and then 6 social managers.
Cool. Just to tag on to your Solidity, what you're talking about, finding a Solidity developer, I recently learned that Solidity is actually not a very popular language at all, or framework or whatever it is. If you look at like the top 20 most popular languages on the Stack Overflow survey, it doesn't pop up, which I found to be incredibly exciting or incredibly interesting, especially because this year I thought that, you'd at least see it because of how the explosion of development going on in blockchain systems and smart contracts.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically a genius in every way. But for some people who might not know what the heck a Solidity developer is, could someone explain it, please?
So, for the record, like I have very little programming knowledge. But in essence, what our Solidity dev is doing is writing the smart contracts. And then maybe Hank, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah. I mean, Little Tarzan is the guy who's been writing our smart contracts, and he's been looking into other platforms and how they do it, like, Spooky Swap and, what was it? Uniswap V2, definitely. And at the moment, I know they're writing unit tests, and we're kind of waiting on a couple things to happen on the Hedera network before we proceed, and that is the Hedera Improvement Proposal 218, and what was it? The create token transaction to be callable from those smart contracts, and yes, to create two opcode. And I guess all of that's really necessary so you can follow this design pattern called a factory smart contract, which is what it sounds. You have a factory or like this code to produce these smart contracts so that users can produce their own LP pairs, so that there's more decentralization going on and all that. But what was the question again? I felt like I tracked it a little bit, so I just wanted to ask.
What is Solidity?
Oh, what is Solidity? Well, to my understanding, it's a object-oriented programming language that's very similar, syntactically speaking, to languages like Java or C, but it is the main language you would be using to interact with these smart contracts after all. Yeah, I would have to say that when me and the other full stack developer looked into Solidity a bit, we felt pretty confident in our abilities to write code. But, over time, I started to realize writing good Solidity code that is not vulnerable to all these security exploits is an entirely different story. You can write code, but if it's, crap code that anyone can exploit and steal millions of dollars off the chain or network, then it's on your head.
Yeah. Hence why we have this InfoSec expert. So he'll be doing a lot of security testing. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we're going to have our smart contracts audited before they're deployed.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that there really is no great example, or there isn't such a massive body of work with smart contracts that it's still so open, and there's still so much to probably exploit.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the wild west of crypto, and we're just so early, especially with our H-bags. But, that's partly why I joined the project as well. And being able to be involved in this sort of exciting time where everyone's developing their own standards, their own way of doing things, and really to grow along with the ecosystem, I find it a lot of fun.
So we've talked a bit about the current team. We know that there were some previous team members who left. Can you give us just a brief summary of the situation with that?
Yeah, I can speak on that. So I guess this was brought up in our AMA. So I'm just going to be kind of reiterating what Peter had said. So Coffee was one of the, I guess he's a former founder. Over time, him and the SaucerSwap team, our vision for the future of SaucerSwap diverged, and the team tried to reconcile this, but we just saw no expedient way to overcome the divide in perspectives, and we had to make the difficult decision to expel him. So it's unfortunate that it had to happen, but we believe that SaucerSwap came out ultimately more stronger and more united. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can really say on the matter.
If I recall, it was two people, Coffee and somebody else, that you had to expel, correct?
Yeah, so there was another guy. He had very limited involvement with the project. He was more like a legal advisor, I'd say. Yeah.
So they've been dabbed on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that, but
right. Sorry. Something I am interested, because this has been a big conversation piece in, my little dumb NFT sphere and development stuff. Doxxing, right? So you guys were doxed. You came out, said your names, just your first names, or are we talking last names too?
My full legal name's out there.
Oh, oof.
No SSNs or addresses, can't pull up.
Oh yeah, and they're asking me
make
to wear
sure.
a ankle bracelet and putting me
Oh
under house
gosh.
arrest. So they're also taking my
Yeah.
Oh god.
passport, so I can't leave the country.
It's
Yeah.
for SaucerSwap.
We're gonna be publishing our social security numbers next.
Good,
No,
good,
yes.
good.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
full
gonna need that.
transparency, right? No, but
Jokes
we
aside, yeah, like how did you feel about it? How did you feel about it?
it like it's you definitely have to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, nobody really wants to have their name out on the internet. But our team values transparency. So we just felt obligated, like morally obligated to reveal our identities. And especially because we're launching an NFT sale before we deploy our audited smart contracts. So like the liquidity is not locked in smart contracts. Hence, if we weren't doxxed, I guess users could potentially view us as possibly
Suspicious?
just like taking off with the money. So we just wanted to have at least like the founders doxed, just so we can be held accountable. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense why the community would want you to do it.
Yeah.
But you
And it's not even so much the community. We definitely like heard the community, like the community voiced their opinion on the matter. But it was ultimately our decision. Like we reciprocated. We just felt that it was the right thing to do as well.
I've been seeing. I remember seeing that post on Reddit, that FUD post. How did that make you guys feel?
I guess bullish. I don't know. I always just equate FUD with like, bullishness.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. I mean, really, like I feel like having people be uncertain about your project is a good sign, right? It means that they're just sussing things out to make sure that it's legit.
And they're interested, obviously.
Yeah, and they're interested.
If they weren't interested, they wouldn't bother.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So you mentioned the NFTs. What's the deal with the NFTs? We got to unpack this.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess, I mean, we can't take full credit for this NFT-based funding model. It was obviously inspired by Visas to a certain extent.
Access. You have to ignore the V. It's access. It's
Is it
access.
really access?
Yes.
Really?
I'm not memeing on you. I've had conversations about this. It is pronounced access.
Conversations
for listeners not familiar, they instead of an A, they have a V. So you would think, and I thought, and everyone I know originally thought it was Visas, but no, it is pronounced access.
Okay. Well, that's news to me. Yeah. Anyways, so with that being said, I don't know. We just found this funding model like works perfectly for our project. It allows us to raise capital, obviously, and that capital will go towards funding or to initializing our Sauce HBAR liquidity pool, funding operational expenses such as audits, which we anticipate being quite costly. And it also all while simultaneously distributing sauce to the community via airdrops and faucets. So, and I mentioned this in the AMA, but we had no desire to seek out venture capital. We just sort of believe this to be a detriment to the community. So we think this funding model is most beneficial to the community.
Why no venture capital?
Just because typically how that works is it would be like a private sale, and they would receive our token at a much lower price than what the IDO price is. So, I mean, there's countless examples. ICP for one, you saw the price action following it being listed on secondary markets. So, if we were to sell it to venture capital firms at maybe like a tenth of what it's the IDO price is, then they're incentivized to just take profit.
To dump on us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I'm sick of getting dumped on all the time.
No kidding. These Saft investors, man.
These Saft dudes, man, they're relentless. They really
disgust me. So I think the public version of this podcast released on Tuesday. Is that when the NFTs are dropping? Right? Is it Tuesday? Right?
That would be March 1st, 12 a.m. UTC, or it would be
7 p.m. EST.
EST, or what was the PST timing again? Remind me.
EST time?
I don't know.
PST?
7 p.m. EST on Tuesday.
4 p.m. PST and 7
you said
Yeah.
Okay, so people are gonna have time. They can watch this, and if they want to check it out, they can.
Yes.
Did you like how subtle that plug was? Very subtle.
No, I appreciate that.
Incredibly subtle.
You should cut this. You should cut this part out, where you.
I love that part. I have a very serious question here. Very serious question. I like the design of your mascot. The little green alien. He's cute, and I was curious. Does that little guy have a name?
I don't know, Hank. You want to take this one? I think this was brought up in our last AMA.
I know.
Oh, really? Really? I must have missed that part.
Somebody wanted to name him Larry. I know.
Oh, that seems like a strange. There's not really a pun there. It seems like a strange name for an alien. Personally.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll take ideas from the community, and since I've been working on the Discord bot that would dispense the faucet tokens, we were also getting some ideas, like maybe having a bot to espouse some lore and, flesh out the universe a little bit more. Keep things interesting because, developing all the swap and all that, it's a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of time. And sometimes you got to throw in a little bit of fun to mix things up and, it's beneficial for developers sometimes to do this less stressful work and also reward the community for their continued loyalty. So just bring it
Plus,
out there.
we love lore. But confirmation, so the alien does not currently have a name, is what I'm hearing.
Oh.
I honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Larry is canonical. It could be. Peter would be the guy to ask.
It could be.
But of course,
I can roll with that.
If the community pushes for it, we will listen.
Okay.
We are for and by the community. Remember that first and foremost.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's pushing for this. Whoever they are, they need to calm down. It's not that important.
They're very persistent.
Whoever they are, they're very persistent.
I'm a little amused by this, so keep going.
So we've talked a little bit about. There's a really loud car outside right now. Hold on a second. Can you stop, car? All right, they're driving away. Maybe it's not going to come up on Discord, but it might come up when I bring my other audio source in. This would be something good to cut out, but am I that lazy? The answer is yes, I am too lazy to do it. My question is, we've talked about the NFTs. So when is kind of the full SaucerSwap DEX going to launch? Roughly.
I kind of addressed that to an extent because we are waiting on, HIP 218, the Create 2 opcode, and the token creation transaction to be supported on Hedera Smart Contract Service. But even if all of that came out today, there would still at least be 6 months worth of development time. And we really do have to test all these things out. We still have to go through a security audit, which at a minimum is $10K, and we're looking at firms like Certec or Open Zeppelin. But the thing is, they deal with Ethereum smart contracts, so if you're dealing with a Hedera smart contract, then that price is going to shoot up. And
that's also per contract, and we're going to be deploying multiple. So
we need that money to actually get that seal of approval.
So it'll probably be the first Hedera native smart contracts they've audited, I'd imagine. It'll be
Well,
interesting.
I'm glad I asked that because that seems like a nice, realistic timeline. You know,
Yeah.
I like when people
so
give realistic timelines.
Yeah, so we're not going to say like 5
2
days after the
weeks?
sale ends. Yeah, and then like
So,
I can give
so
these
like
realistic timelines because I am the tech lead and I am working myself to death here.
oh gosh, hang in there, Peaches. Hang in there.
I will. Yeah, I mean, I've been working on this like I've been doing this every single day for the past 3 months now. I've barely gone out. Ugh, my social life has taken a hit. But it is fun. It is quite exciting. And I feel like in the long run, it's going to deliver a lot of value to a lot of users, especially HBAR holders who have nothing better to do with their HBARs at the moment. Like they want something fun to do with it. They want to be excited. They still want to join that crypto craze to an extent. Like it's not all about enterprises. It's also about the retailers, you know?
Sure.
The retail.
Yeah. And just going back to these cross-chain assets. So if we use like an application like Hashport to bridge, I don't know, like ETH, Matic from, I guess, Ethereum and Polygon respectively over to Hedera, then it's just going to bring so much value over to this network. And it's also going to incentivize Hedera users to remain within this ecosystem rather than venturing out to other networks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I don't want to be that meme where there's this Redditor that goes, actually, but I have to do it. So actually, Hashport is more of a public utility. And I guess we have kind of taken a cursory glance to it. But I think one of the things that we really are looking into is like having like wrapped Ethereum and Hedera pairs. That way, you know, you're building this bridge from Ethereum to Hedera, and you're pulling in all these people who are tired of these fees. They want fast transactions. They don't want to deal with all this bull that's like happening in their own native networks. You know, like there's the grass is greener on the other side. Just wanted to add that.
Hey,
what about
that's like a pun, right?
The grass is greener on the other side?
Yeah, like green. Think about it.
I can see it.
The
environmentally friendly. No, all right, that didn't go anywhere.
Lines go up. Lines go up. Hank.
I don't know.
Do you guys have any plans on using existing like cross-chain interoperability protocols, like the ones that Chainlink is developing?
Hank, if you want to address that.
Well, I guess could you repeat that term? The interoperable. What was it called again? Sorry.
Cross-chain interoperability protocol.
Cross-chain
protocol.
Yeah.
Interoperability. That's a hard word to say.
Well, when you talk about Chainlink, I think about price oracles, and we're definitely going to need them to get accurate pricing data on like various different assets. And I guess a big question in my mind is how is Sauce going to be priced? And how are we going to distribute that information such that, you know, everyone has access to accurate and real-time information that is not stale? And I guess, Joseph, if you want to talk about how the sauce is actually determined in terms of pricing, we can go ahead and like do a deep dive on that.
Really putting me on the spot here.
I'm glad it's not me doing it.
Yeah, so I mean, like when you initialize a pool, the pricing formula would essentially be I'll use Sauce and HBAR as an example. So for determining Sauce's IDO price, it would just be the price of HBAR multiplied by the number of HBAR you're adding to the pool, divided by the number of Sauce you're adding to the pool. So that determines the IDO price. And then following that, basically swapping HBAR and Sauce within that pool would determine the price. So maybe to walk you through an example, So our AMM, I think Hank alluded to this, but it's based on Uniswap V2. So prices are determined by a constant product formula, which is just expressed as X multiplied by Y equals K. X and Y are the two token reserves. So would be like the reserves of HBAR and sauce in the pool. And then K is just a constant at a state, meaning that it doesn't change unless liquidity is added or withdrawn from the pool. So if you wanted to withdraw some amount of sauce, one would have to first deposit a proportional amount of HBAR to maintain the constant product before fees. And that means that there's a constant balance of assets that determine the price of sauce and HBAR in the pool. So every time a trader buys sauce, the price of sauce goes up, and there is now less sauce in the pool than before the purchase. And then conversely, the price of HBAR would go down because there's more HBAR in the pool. And yeah, as I had mentioned, the pool stays in constant balance. So the total value of sauce in the pool must always equal the total value of HBAR in the pool. So that's essentially how like pricing is determined, just by users like swapping within the pool.
I'll have to watch that a couple times to really
my brain's frying right now.
Luckily, all of this is on our Git books. Just check it out. I mean, I remember we spent a couple weeks agonizing over those documents and those formulas. Formatting those were not fun.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for the Git books. I mean, they're pretty solid.
Woo.
Thank you. And I had to learn LaTeX on the spot just to write those damn formulas.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess, yeah, now I have to shift my attention to the white paper, which should be even more fun.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, everyone will have access to a white paper. It's just that NFT holders will probably get a early access peek into it. You know, not too long, and then the general public will get to see it. So that's that.
Yeah.
So don't freak out.
Don't freak out, man. Stay calm. Calm your tits. I don't know.
All right, let's transition to podcast halftime. Not exactly occurring halfway through, but it is occurring. Welcome to podcast halftime. This time is set aside for our guests to have a little break, and for me to do paid reads of copy. If you're a business, organization, or just an extra supportive community member and you'd like me to read something aloud during this time, please send an email to HederaHashCast@gmail.com and I'll let you know our rates. We finally have an actual sponsor. This week's episode is brought to you by Spacebar, creating pretty meta things for the Hederaverse. Spacebar art focuses around space, Earth, aesthetics, form, Hedera hashgraph, and maybe the occasional meme. Their latest creation, titled Jarvis, is the first NFT to be released in their newly minted Sundial collection. Available now to one lucky holder on hashaccess.com/creator/spacebar. For all the collectors out there, it should be noted that the Sundial collection consists of 20 NFTs, each a one of one and accompanied by a physical, high-definition, 16x16 metal print. Durable, resistant to scratches and stains, and shipped to each holder free of charge. Follow Spacebar on Twitter at Hederaverse, where they refuse to tweet unless forced into doing so. Whew, that was quite a mouthful. We're back from podcast halftime. More NFT stuff. Let's transition to a more open discussion. So, I think one of the first episodes of the HashCast, our biggest discussion was how Hedera's very, very focused on businesses and not focused really as much as we'd like them to be on retailers, on retail. So you're coming into this, shall we say, starved Hedera DeFi space. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the current state of Hedera DeFi?
Yeah, I'd say that's an accurate statement. There's definitely a lack of DeFi at the moment. Not to say that there's not a I guess like emerging NFT community, which is like seeing a lot of interesting stuff come out of that. But yeah, in terms of DeFi, there's a lot of holes to fill. So I mean, we are seeing like IDO launchpad projects building on Hedera. We are seeing other AMM protocols building on Hedera. I know Shibar is doing something similar, albeit they're not using smart contracts. They're just building on local architecture. Not sure how exactly that works, but interesting nonetheless. Yeah. And then there's more novel ways or means of staking. I know Dovu grants users the ability to stake.
Not eventually, not yet. I think it's March 11th. I should know this considering the amount we've talked with them. I think second week of March, I think.
Yeah. So there's a lot in the pipeline. And I think like the best part about all this is that it's not necessarily competitive. I think that we're all collectively filling out like a Venn diagram, so to speak. So it's like symbiotic. We all have like a common goal in mind.
Sure.
And I think that we're like all of our respective projects are acting as catalysts just for the ecosystem to expand. So I guess like this more enterprise-based like approach that Hedera is taking, that's going to take a long time to come to fruition. I mean, that's just how when you're working with like Fortune 500 companies, things just tend to move slower.
Right.
So in the shorter term, I think projects such as SaucerSwap are just going to be like very like crucial in like retaining users. Hopefully we'll see some nice price action come out of it.
We'd love
I think
it.
I think like the most important metric to follow is total value locked. So essentially like the amount of liquidity that's locked in our protocol. So just especially when you consider like the SAFT contracts, I want to call them, are expiring soon. So we're going to see a lot of HBAR being released. So if we can increase the TVL of the network, then we can lock up a lot of that liquidity, which could mitigate against just bearish
dumping.
Price action. Yeah.
Just dumping. Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Me crying.
No, I tend to use euphemisms, but yeah, dumping is.
They're gonna dump on us, guys.
The eternal
Pretty
crab.
much will.
Ash Chads, what happened?
So
The
I'm enthusiastic about just the future of like the near term future of Hedera as it relates to DeFi, and just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I guess the one thing about DeFi is that it's a positive sum game. Like everybody, as they contribute, the whole size of the pie grows. Everybody gets something out of it. Like we are acting as catalysts and we're bouncing off each other, and everyone's getting benefits off of it. And this is the type of game I like to join. I don't want to be in an environment where we're like trying to compete with other people, and any advantage they have over us is a detriment to like other people as well. Like let's just cooperate and try to build a healthy and a healthy space together. That's my take on it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like the Dovu stuff's been coming out, Hatchback's been doing a bunch of stuff. You guys are arriving. My question is like, why is this all kind of happening now in the last 2 to 3 months? Why didn't it happen 6 months ago? I mean, maybe for you guys it just kind of worked out, but it just seems, cool that like things are starting to like actually happen, but it's just kind of strange that they're all kind of happening pretty close to each other.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, Hedera's done some very interesting things, but I think it's in part that they realize this whole idea of like build it and they will come hasn't really come to materialization because, they're relying on these enterprises and sure, they're interested. Sure, they got some deals going on in the background, but what resources have they really publicly, decided to give to Hedera to really help them take off? So I feel like they're shifting into retail as like a bit of a backpedal from that whole enterprise focus and to really diversify their approach instead of being so entirely enterprise focused, which is what I think is a prudent move. And,
Yeah, just to I guess touch on what Hank was saying. I think Hedera's decision to just establish the HBAR Foundation and allocate, I think it was $5 billion worth of HBAR towards that, just to fund these more retail oriented initiatives. I think that was a great move. And then also just going back to this concept of symbiosis, I don't know if we could do what we're doing if we didn't have Hashpack.
Right.
So we need the supporting infrastructure, and I think it's going to just create this domino effect. As more infrastructure gets built out, we're just going to see, just projects, more and more projects DeFi projects emerge.
What I want to know is how are enterprises operating without tooling like this?
It's a good question.
Could you clarify what you meant by tooling like this? I don't know. Are you talking about Hashpack as a utility for enterprise services? Because I remember LG Electronics using Hashpack to host some of their award NFTs.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Hashback is relatively, it's relatively recent, right? What were enterprises doing beforehand? I guess they are probably using, my HBAR wallet or something like that, or maybe they have internal software that they use.
Yeah.
Well, Exact was Exact is still around, but Exact, was kind of used for, NFT, a lot of stuff. And now they're, pretty much everybody's using Hashback because of secure trade and other things that they've, worked out.
Yeah.
Hashback is simply more transparent.
And going back to just enterprise, what services Hedera provides to enterprises. I know the Hedera consensus service is a big one. If you look at the Explorer anyways, how much it accounts for the transactional volume. So, but yeah, just in terms of applications, these Web3 applications like Hashpack, I couldn't answer whether or not enterprises would be using them.
Well, you have to understand that it goes back to the argument that this DeFi space is a positive-sum game. The tools that retail develops will possibly or probably be used by these same enterprise folks, and they'll be building off on top of that, and vice versa. Whatever enterprise is building, retail will also be using as well. So again, we really do need one and the other. We just need to grow this space as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the fact that so much is going on, right? Well, so much is so relative of a term, but compared to what we've been seeing to what we're seeing now, it's, I don't know if I could have really done 5 episodes of a podcast 6 months ago. I'll tell you that much. So I've been thankful, and it's good to see, and hopefully it's, picking up speed and gaining momentum as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm anticipating. So
I hope so.
Optimistic for the future.
Okay, that seems like a good stopping point. Thank you so much for the panel being here. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitter at Hedera HashCast, and supporting us via Patreon. For just $1 a month, you'll get the podcast a day early on Monday instead of Tuesday, and access to our exclusive Patreon community where we have surveys, behind-the-scenes content, and lots of other fun stuff. For the $10 tier, you get all that, along with a custom shout-out by yours truly at the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening, and for helping to build a consensus in the Hedera community. Thank you to our patrons, ABFT FTW,